introduce Marjorie Rosenberg. She taught university at Graz, Austria, and now works with corporate clients, trains teachers, and writes ELT materials for business English and on learner preferences. She has spoken at over 100 international conferences and is currently the IATEFL Vice President, having served as President from 2015 to 2017. And let me add, she's an incredible speaker and workshop presenter. I've seen her many times. She's a very generous colleague, a wealth of ELT knowledge, a wonderful, caring, and sharing person, and an awesome friend. So, welcome, Marjorie. After that,
thanks, Rob. That was really a lovely intro.
It's all yours, so take it away. I'm here if you need me. Just yell, okay?
Okay, I will when we get to the video. Great. Okay, so hello, everyone. Sorry about the technical problems, but I had a second machine set up just in case, because you never know. So the topic today is getting unstuck, getting out of our comfort zones, which is something that I was asked to do at a conference a while ago and realized how often we do get stuck. So going on to the very first slide, making sure I can do this. Oh boy, okay. I'm not using, yeah, there we go. Using a different machine. So the idea is that we are often stuck in our own little worlds. I don't know how many of you have this problem, but we often go to work, we see our students, but we simply don't have the chance to move out of that. So I began looking at this, and I'd like some information from all of you. How long have you been teaching? And how often do you actually try something new in class? Could you write into the chat box? +31. Okay, yeah, me too. Hi, Peter. Anyone else? Okay, once a week, great. Yep, wonderful. 12, okay. 16, wow. Something new every time, that's great. 30, wow. I'm wondering what I can tell you guys. Okay. Every day. Okay. It's always something new. Yep. Every day. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide. So the question is, do you sometimes feel stuck? Do you sometimes think you're in a rut? Does anyone have ideas how to get out of it? Could you just say if you do feel stuck or don't feel stuck? Just say yes or no. Yes. Yep, sometimes. Yeah, I agree, Fabiana. I don't like it either. Because of the system. Ah, yeah. Sometimes. Okay. Do you sometimes have the feeling that life repeats itself over and over? Do you feel like it's Groundhog Day? Anybody have that? Sometimes can't tell the days apart? Yeah. Oksana. Yeah. Not really. Oh, that's great, Natalia. Okay, so I started looking at what keeps us from trying out new ideas. And these are the ones I came up with. I don't think I need to read the slide to you, but which of these do you think is the one that fits your situation best? Or are there probably more than one? I think for me, it was always, yeah, lack of time and mindset, yes. And sometimes no support from others. Yeah, lack of time to investigate new things. Yes, I agree. It's always a way, yeah. lack of funds, fear of failure, lack of time, and not knowing where to start. That's the point of this webinar. Okay, so going on, I also thought about what is a teacher? And this is what I came up with. We really live our jobs. I think it's more than just a profession. It is a calling. It's a vocation. It's something we seem to do all the time. We have to like people. I think that is vital. And I think we are always learning. Anything else here that you think we are? All of them. Hi, Elena. Okay. And just to give you some other ideas here, this is not mine, but I borrowed it from somebody and I think it's wonderful. Anybody relate to any of these? Yep. Additional parent. That's this, I think it says it here, surrogate parent. Any comments on these? Motivational coach, yep. Shrink, yep. These form filler inners, so much fun. Or the government directive reader, musician, coat finder, and so on. Okay, so could you just say yes or no? Have you asked yourself what you can do about it? Shrink, yep. Yeah, I have too, Natalia. Yes. Yeah, I think we all have. I think anybody who's interested in continuing professional development has asked themselves this question. Yeah, true, Karen. Right, all the time. Okay, well, there are different ways to get there. If you have a look at these pictures, we can either move along a superhighway to find new ideas. We can go down an old country road. We can find barriers in the way. If you can see the slide, there are animals walking across the road. Sometimes we just have to stop because something's in our way. And sometimes it doesn't matter which road we take because both roads are going to lead to the same place. I hope everyone can read that, but the two signs have exactly the same cities on them in Greece, and doesn't matter which one you take. Okay, so in working on this, I sat down and thought about what are the areas that make sense for us to move into. I mean, obviously, if we are English language teachers, we are not going to become brain surgeons or astrophysicists, but these are areas that we can move into. We can try out new methods in the classroom. We can teach new subjects. We can use new technology. We have some here who are really expert in that. We can use continuing professional development, which is why you're here. We can work with a different style. We have our colleagues to talk to and to rely on. We have our wonderful PLNs, our professional learning networks, and several of you from mine are here today. Or we can go into a new area of ELT. And what I did when I started putting this together was to do some crowdsourcing on Facebook and contacted people and said, of these areas, what have you done in the last year or so? And I got answers from basically around the world. I think it was 24 people from 22 countries, something like this. People who wrote to me with the things they have tried out. So I'm going to go through those with you just to show you what they sent me. And then I'm going to give you tips on each of these particular areas, and then we'll have a look at resources. So looking first at new methods. I love this one about using a riddle from The Merchant of Venice, or getting the students to put together their own revision package. I did this as well at university. They had to write their own exam questions. I told them what types of questions could come. Multiple choice, true, false. I said, okay, go through the material and come up with your questions to quiz each other. And they loved it. or combining theater techniques with unplugged teaching. So no books, trying things out, using drama. TPR with adults. What an amazing idea. I hope everyone knows TPR, total physical response. You tell someone what to do, so they have to listen, absorb it, and then act out what you've told them. Very interesting. I haven't tried it with adults, but why not? So my ideas: set up cooperative learning groups, which are interdependent on each other. They need each other in order to complete a task. And each person in the group is important, so that you can't have somebody who's just what we call hitchhiking, letting the others do the work. Using project work, bringing in music, art, and drama in the classroom, or using learner diaries. Any of these can be used as a new method to help you and your students. And they don't take a lot of time to do. Okay, new subjects. This is here because I used to teach at a teacher training college that trained students to be nutrition students, teachers, and they had to teach cooking. And one of the most fun things I ever did with them was to go into the kitchen and cook Thanksgiving dinner with them. It was a great lesson. They learned all about the American culture part of Thanksgiving, but we did it all in English. And what I learned from them at the same time was amazing. I have never seen anybody cook like this because they do it so kinesthetically. They just have it in their fingers. They touch the dough for the pie and they know if it has enough liquid or not. And I'm measuring away. So this combination of learning from your students in a new subject can be incredibly valuable. So Sue in Jersey, she gets new classes all the time. And these are the groups she has to work with. She says she has to find out what they want. She negotiates content. And I love her statement: if you look interested, it usually turns out okay. So rather than panicking and thinking, oh my God, I can't teach them, look interested in what they have to tell you. If they can describe their job by the end of the lesson, you've done it. That is the best part of this. Okay. Emma, who teaches online, had 10 men who wanted to practice. They sent her topics, she sent them instructions, and a feedback report. This was all new, completely new material for her. So you could teach something using CLIL, Content Language Integrated Learning, or ESP, English for Specific Purposes, or expand into another area where you are an expert. Many of us came from other fields. If you studied an additional topic to English or something else completely, art, music, drama, bring it in. Why not? Or invite an expert on another field into your class. I did a course for tour guides in Graz, and I have a friend who was a dancer at the Opera House. I brought her in for the lesson we did on talking about culture in Graz, and they asked loads of questions. It was great. Or finding articles about specific topics, leading class discussions. All these ideas do not take long and are something you can try out. Any questions? Am I going too fast for anyone? Just waiting for somebody to type into the chat box. Good ideas. Okay, this is being recorded, so of course you can have a look. Okay, new technology. This is probably where I am the slowest, always panicking, but at least I had a second machine set up for today. We have to figure out the mic problem. Elena, she uses Prezi, and Vukaru, which I've never tried out, and Mentor Mob, and Sergio, using his iPad, uses apps, pronunciation apps. Does anyone use those? Or any of these? I would, okay. Yeah, Fabiana, I know you are way ahead of most of us on all of this. Praise it, yeah. Okay, bit strips. I took a look at this after Samira sent me this. I thought, this is fascinating, but she has young learners. I'm not sure if my adults would like it. Or PB Works, a wiki with MA students. It erases the audio, okay. So when I was at university, I had to learn to use Moodle, and I actually found it to be very useful for what I needed it for. It helped me to organize my classes, to tell students what we had done when they weren't there, to upload videos, homework, information. It worked extremely well. I know there's much more you can do with it, but for what I needed it for, it was perfect. Videos from the internet. I would send them things. We talked about Halloween, and then one of my students sent me, I think it's the Jimmy Kimball, the clip about the parents eating the Halloween candy. So I sent it to everybody. They loved it. Using mobile phones for interaction, if you're allowed. Holding an online course, or just talking about the technology around us. They're probably better than we are. My first mobile was a Nokia because all my students had them, and they were so thrilled to show me how to use it and explain it to me in English. Okay, continuing professional development. I am sure that this is something that you all are familiar with. This is a conference slide. So lots of people here went and did courses. And I just saw a whole group of people in Brazil who just got their certificates for the, I think it was the Train the Trainer course, if I'm right. Sue doing a Cert IBET, Cert TESOL, DIP TESOL, OMID, doing the TKT or the Train the Trainer course. Sandy, who I'm sure many of you know through her blog, through Facebook, she does lots and lots of stuff, trying out activities, reading books, webinars, and so on. Dana in Argentina, an online course in business English and completing a coaching certificate. And then Sylvia doing an MA, for example. Hannah saying her PD started when she actually finished her degree. So it doesn't stop just when we get an MA or a PhD after our names, reading blogs and so on. CELTA course, MA degree. And these are my tips. Go to conferences. Conferences are amazing for getting ideas. I still use some that I got 20 years ago at a conference. Attending webinars, which now are so possible to do at home. Setting up training sessions with colleagues. This is something you can do. You can tell your boss, we'd like to get together to do a training session and invite somebody to talk about something they know a lot about, or swap shops. Each person comes with one idea that worked in their classroom and does this. Planning a course with a colleague and bouncing ideas off each other. I did this for years when we were doing teacher training, and we learned so much from each other because we were different teaching styles, and we were different types of learners and taught different subjects. We were doing NLP for teachers. I was the English music person, and my colleague was the math psychology person. But we really worked well together. Or go back to university. Okay. So stretching out of our own learning styles. Alexandra in the Republic of Macedonia said she's a visual learner, but she started doing more kinesthetic activities. And Dana said she tries to use her auditory style, which is her least preferred one. Same for me. And Tanya talking about also having to become more hands-on, even though she's very visual. So for me, what's important is that we usually teach the way we learn. And this is something that has not come up in this discussion of learning styles, but when I observe different teachers, I do see this. I see certain teachers who don't give out handouts at the beginning because they want the students to listen. Others give out the handouts because they feel that students need something to write on, which I need as a visual kinesthetic type. So if we have somebody observe us and tell us, I notice this is what you're doing, and then try to do new things, we bring in new aspects. So you try adding in more listening activities or dictations or pictures or speaking or emotions or movement. Look for both detailed activities and those with overviews, or simply try out activities you've never done before. Now, it's a good idea to try it yourself first. There was a story of a teacher who was not very mathematically inclined, and someone gave her this great activity, but it was quite complicated. And they said, not sure you can do this. And she said, oh, I'll just try it with my group. Well, she didn't understand the instructions. She said they just all had a great time because it didn't work, and they laughed like crazy. But she realized that it just wasn't her. And if she wants to do it, she has to learn how to do it. Okay. So our colleagues, how we make use of them. Oops, sorry, it's not, there we go. Antonio in Brazil said he started teaching his colleagues how to do concept work, moving to inductive approaches. Sergio, who many of you may know from his travels around the world, I think this is so true for him, that the human social side of the profession is vital, and he focuses on social interaction. He has been to so many places. I was following his trip in Nepal last year, where he was invited by a colleague to come and teach. It's just amazing. And this expands his knowledge and his ideas just by working with so many people. B in Hungary gave us this wonderful information about the creative cafe workshops that they do in Budapest. They meet once a month and they hear presentations from colleagues on different topics. Why not start this where you are? Get somebody to do the first one and then continue. The only thing I've done similar is our Women's Association in Graz. We have different speakers. I had heard someone speak about Azerbaijan. I decided I really want to go there, contacted the conference organizers and hope that in the future I can get to a conference there. So these ideas can work everywhere. So find out from colleagues what they do. Ask them what works. I have an activity that I have been using, I'm thinking 30 years. A colleague handed me a piece of paper after class and said, just done, okay, one of your meetups. She said, maybe you can use this. It is the most wonderful drawing that I have been using. No idea where it came from, except for the person who handed it to me in the hallway, more or less. And it's great. Go to others' classes if you can. Get ideas. Say, wow, I could try that. Exchanging ideas, and maybe talk to colleagues who teach different subjects. Those of you in public schools, ask them, what do you do in math? What do you do in history? Or even in adult ed, let's find out what people teaching other subjects do. We might actually get some tips from them. Okay, PLN. This was put together by Rosalie. And this so describes this international network. Some people, I am sure, recognize people here in this lovely collage. And this is what it is about for me. This PLN is so important to me. And Omid said he stayed in touch with these people. They got in touch with him. They asked questions. I do this all the time. I had a question in class. What do we call the people who work for you? What do you call your boss? I put it on Facebook in the Business English Special Interest Group, Facebook group. I had, as of yesterday, I think 55 comments, which I read to my students in class yesterday. Their favorite was one that said, I call the people who work for me minions. Then they found the Minions cartoon on an iPhone and were showing everybody. And at the end of the class, they were still talking about the word minions, which they just thought was hilarious. So this kind of information can be so helpful. Social networks, conferences, and I would say join these online groups of teachers if you can. Become active in a teacher association. You're a local one, an international one, it doesn't matter. They all have something to offer. And stay in touch with people outside of those conferences and workshops. And these two happen to be from conferences, but they are so important. Yes, my PLN is, yes, so important to me as well, Maria. It is absolutely a big part of my life. Okay, so a new area of ELT. I don't know if we have any. I think this is Russian and Ukrainian, I think. Anybody here who can read this? Yes, okay. Any idea why I put this up? What do you think about the English? Just waiting to see if there's a comment. Yeah, lost in translation is a very good one. Well, I noticed in Graz that they had some very strange translations on the trams. And I happened to be working with somebody who works in that agency in charge of all the trams. And I said, yeah, the translations are a little strange. She said, oh, would you like to do new ones? I said, sure. She said, would you like to do the recordings? I said, okay. And I got a job. Another colleague contacted the tourist office and said, you know, your brochure has got some really odd things in it. And they offer them a job. So these kinds of things, these official things that we see everywhere, or at a restaurant, when you notice on the menu that some of the things are a bit odd. For years in Graz, people could order dumplings instead of dumplings. Say to the restaurant, you know, wouldn't mind doing this? Charge you this much? And why not? If it's something you think you can do and enjoy, go ahead. So these are different ideas. Working as a course coordinator, teaching using Skype, Google Hangout, being a DOS, professional translators, a copy editor, trying out new things, a new CLIL project, getting into new subjects here. Australian railroads 20 years ago. You can get snakes at our snake baker. Oh, great. Oh, Austrian Arab, sorry. What was the German there, Isabella? That's really interesting. Common mistake here too. Oh, snacks, of course. Got it. Yep. I think I remember that. Okay, DOS and a CELTA trainer. And Sandy went ahead and wrote a book for the round and has now written a second one, which she has blogged about, I believe. Dana's moved into coaching. A lot of people are doing this. Sue started working with the IATFL BSIC online team, as Rob has been doing, and is a moderator for ELT chat, all these things. And Philip in Japan started an online magazine, the EFL magazine, which they've got 50,000 plus readers a month. It's amazing. And Teresa in Brazil started working with special needs children. This is another big field. We just had Mercedes Viola talk about this at an IATFL webinar. It's a whole new area that's opening up. Being a tutor for the various courses. Publishing an EAP textbook. Okay, so many things. This is Tanya. Okay, and Alex took the chance and wrote a fiction book for EFL learners. I don't know what I was thinking, but doing a workshop on a completely new topic and taking part in a Pechakucha. There's another thing you can move into doing. Taking exchange groups abroad. And VICKI, of course, with her ELT video production company. So I would say try writing, contributing to other materials, magazines and so on, working together with colleagues and ideas if you can. Learning to be an examiner. I became a Cambridge examiner very late in my career, along with a colleague. We were both, I would say, towards the end of our teaching careers. And somebody said, why are you doing this? And, you know, don't you think you're too old? And I said, but you're never too old to learn something new. I found it really interesting learning how to actually judge what somebody's speaking level was. It was fascinating. Learn translating or interpreting, and of course, presenting at conferences. That's a big one. Yeah, it is very interesting. So this is something I put together. When I started doing this, I thought, you know, anybody can stand there and preach and say, well, you know, you need to do this or that or the other thing. And I thought, what have I actually done since I started all of this? This was kind of the basis for my EFL talk that we did for Women's Day. And I realized that I did constantly look for new things to do. Started in adult ed. I started doing teacher training. Somebody asked me if I'd do a course. I said, sure, why not? Let's try it. I started my NLP training. Gave a conference presentation. That first one is always really scary, but we have all been there. There isn't anybody who's out there presenting today who didn't do it for the first time at some point in their lives. I got published in the Teacher Trainer. I took a chance and sent something in to Tessa Woodward. She published it. Got a job at the Teacher Training Academy because I met someone at a conference and I said, I'd really like to work there. And he said, give me a call. You never know. Published a book, sent off something to a colleague who sent it to her dad who happened to know somebody after it had been rejected by lots of people, and it got published. And then started writing for other publishers. Got involved in a teacher association, the local one, and then joined the IATFL BSIC committee, and then was coordinator, went on to become IATFL vice president, and then president, started blogging, something I never thought I would be able to do. I had my first plenary talk, all these things that you don't really think, will I do that? Why not? Just try it. We never know till we try. So what's out there? These are the things that I would say we have a chance to do. I don't need to read through them. Is there anything here that anybody has already started doing? I know we've already got PLN people. I know we have translators here. Online conferences and webinars and so on. ITEVL runs an online conference every year. We've had 4 as far as I know. So they go for several days. Many of them, yes. Okay, becoming, LTAF, yay, yes. That's one I've been to. I've been to the conference at least 6 times, I think. If it's the same LTAF. The one in Frankfurt, yes. Okay, yes. Okay, so these are ideas. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of the things. Now, there's ELT chat. This goes on every week. There's a topic that it's changed slightly since I started doing it regularly. Now I don't have quite as much time, but I do try when I can. It's on Twitter, and a topic is mentioned, and then people tweet about it. And now they do what's called the slow burn, where they keep discussing it online for another day, I think. And these are some of the topics that I thought were so fascinating. Can some teaching styles be more effective than others? Or should everything in class be fun? How do we deal with passive learners? It's 1 hour a week, and it is completely free of charge, and it is continual professional development. Has anyone taken part in the ELT chat? Wow, Karen, that's a lot. Yeah, I haven't been back to ETOS in a while either. Not yet. Okay. Well, it's on Wednesdays. I will be posting the links. I'm not sure if you can follow on Facebook. Possible, but all the links are at the end of this, so you can check it out. Yeah. Okay. Then there are my favorite things, the ELT PICS. They're not adding any new ones at the moment, but there are over 26,000 pictures. And these are photos by teachers for teachers. So teachers who want to use pictures in their classroom or in conference presentations or in webinars, just can't use them in things you publish professionally, but these are all free of charge, legal to use, and they are organized. These are albums. They are organized in categories. I use them all the time. As you've seen throughout this presentation, many of these are from the ELT PICS. It is a phenomenal resource. And these are some of the things. So we have every picture tells a story. So you can put up that picture. Yep, it really gets students talking and say, okay, what do you think? You can just say, okay, what's happening? You can also say what happened before that picture. You'd have to go through this whole thing about how this guy got dressed and how he chose his clothes and how he got his hair cut. Or in the bus stop picture, he had to walk for a mile to get to the bus stop. Then we have the what is it pictures where they have to guess. Well, it could be, it might be, practicing modals. And we have the new category on love intolerance, peace intolerance, talking about what that means to students. Then we have the map of the urban linguistic landscape, which gets students talking about the way language is used and having them go out and look for things. What do they see in their hometowns? I found something in Paris that I thought was fascinating. There's lots and lots of things out there. Then there's the No Project. Judy Boyle started this in Greece several years ago. This is to train young people to become ambassadors for stopping human trafficking. And it deals with many different topics. We've got things like fair trade products, the mining of gold, mining of minerals, and so on. She's working on lesson plans for the site so the teachers can easily use it, and so on. And it is an amazing project. EFL Magazine, which I mentioned earlier, and write an article for them. They're always looking for contributors. Just go ahead and take a chance, send it in. I did one for the first one and it got published. You never know. So if you're looking to get something published, here's a great opportunity. And of course, the EFL Talks. This is such a wonderful way to both take part in continual professional development, but also to have a chance to present yourself. So just think of something you're passionate about. That's the most important thing. If you are passionate, you will get your audience interested. And just the next website from the EFL Talks, we're up for an Elton's, which is an amazing accomplishment. Absolutely wonderful. Yes, it is wonderful. Absolutely, Karen. I agree. Thank you, Rob. Okay, then there's the Facebook group, Trying Something New, started by Theodora in Greece. You can still have a look at that. BBC has got loads and loads of resources. Have a look. And the British Council, the combination of the two together, there is a lot up there that you can have a look at. So you've got the combination of British Council using materials from the BBC, and they're set up, lesson plans, videos, loads and loads of things. It doesn't take hours to search for things because a lot of the work has been done for you. Okay. Yeah, there's another part of that one. And of course, IATEFL. Our web events, when they are live, are free. You need to be a member to see the archives, but you can tune in every month for an IATEFL webinar. The last one that was up had at least 300 participants, which is amazing. Different topics come up every month, and you just need to have a look and see what's coming. Look at the website. The web conferences, when they're live, are also free of charge. There are certain how-to webinars on the website that are free, like how to give your first talk at a conference, how to prepare for a conference, how to prepare for your first plenary. There's a lot up there. So have a look at that. And the special interest groups also do free of charge webinars, which are then archived for members. And then we've got VICKI Hollett, who is the role model for many of us in business English. She says, we're in the business of teaching meanings. Meanings don't just come from words, they come from context. Video is the natural medium for delivering context. And why is anyone still trying to teach with just audio? And we're going to try to play you one of VICKI's videos. Now, I always got good grades for my students on lots of different areas. They like the activities. Some like them more than others. There's always those who are not thrilled about moving around the classroom and talking. But my lowest marks were always in using technology until I discovered VICKI's videos. And I started uploading those to Moodle, the links, and using them in class. There were some worksheets, or we would go over the vocabulary. And suddenly my grades for using tech went way up. It was really exciting. Okay, we're going to try to show you a video.
So, 2 for you, 2 for me, 2 for you. Hi, this is VICKI.
This is Barack Obama.
Barack who?
This is Barack Obama. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great, and I know I'm interrupting you, but I figured you might take my call.
Well, we're a bit busy.
How's your mom doing these days?
Mum's fine. Was there something you wanted?
And one of the things I think is terrific is baseball, you know.
Baseball. So you called to talk about baseball?
Well, you know, I am a big baseball fan, and I grew up in Hawaii. My earliest memories of baseball were actually...
Look, I'm sorry, Barack, but we're a bit busy at the moment.
In medicine, is that correct?
Yeah, this isn't a good time.
Well, now, I understand that...
Try calling next week, or next month. We'd love to hear from you then.
Well, I appreciate that. Tell your mom I said hi. You take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. You too. Thanks, Barack. Bye. So where were we?
2 for you.
2 for me, 2 for you. Bluetooth and me. Subscribe to our channel to see more of our videos.
And if your organization needs specialized English language training, we make videos for that too.
So get in touch if we can help.
Okay. Yeah, Vicki has got a huge number of free videos. They do make them for, they were asked to do one for airlines. There's one on checking in, and Jay, her husband, shows up with a bag that is enormous, and Vicki's trying to get to empty the bag before they try to check it in, and so on. There's ones on greeting visitors. So those are business English ones on the kind of language to use. The telephone one is one of my absolute favorites, of course, how to tell people you're too busy to talk to them in a polite way. But there are lots on grammar. There's lots on vocabulary that students confuse. Things like loose and lose, or borrow and lend, which my students always have a hard time with. So there are different things you can use with these. You can show them to students. They are absolutely wonderful. They started as 1-minute videos. I think they're up to 3 minutes. Some are a little bit longer. My students love them. Nobody ever complained about them being too long or boring or anything else. And they're just a fantastic resource. And as I said, they're all there. So you can have a look. All the sources are at the end of this presentation. Okay. So that's their simple English videos. Now, this is one that we can't show here, but you can look it up. You can have a look on TED Talks for Matt Cutts, Try Something New for 30 Days. Basically, he felt he was stuck in a rut. So he tried to think of what to do about it. And he realized that there are habits that you can either add or take away from your life. So, for example, a lot of people right now are talking about taking away Facebook from their lives. Haven't gotten there yet, but there are things that we can certainly do. And he noticed that when he did this, that the month didn't go by as quickly. He remembered things much more. He remembered where he was when he was doing certain things. He started to do more and harder challenges. So he started biking to work, but then he started climbing mountains. And he said, if you feel you want something badly enough, you can do it for 30 days. He said that tens of thousands of people try to write a novel in 30 days, and many actually succeed. And he gives the tip on how to do this. But he said he also noticed that it was those small changes that were the ones that were the easiest to continue with after the 30-day challenge. And he ends with, what are you waiting for? Yeah, tomorrow's going to come whether we like it or not, and the next 30 days are going to come. So just try it. You never know until you give it a try. And I would like to leave you with one last thought, which I learned in my NLP training. If you always do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always gotten. So when we want something to change, when we want to get out of our particular stuck position, our rut, we've got to do something differently. So go up the slide backwards. Do something different. Teach your class in a different order. Start from the beginning and end up at the, or start from the end and end up at the beginning instead of the way you usually do it. Have a student teach for you. This happened to my colleague with the math class. She was doing a lesson and she had a student who she knows was an excellent student. And he said to her, excuse me, in German they say Frau Professor, excuse me, you're not explaining it well. Rather than get upset, she said, okay, tell you what, go home and think about how you would explain this to the class. The next day he came in with the most amazing lesson that he had put together with his dad, doesn't matter. He taught the class for that particular lesson, and because he had a different viewpoint, he was a student, but he was able to explain it in a way that she as the teacher didn't, and they loved it. So let a student do it sometimes. Find something else to do that doesn't take a huge amount of effort and work. So what are you going to try out? When are you going to do it? What's the first step you're going to take? Does anyone have any comments in here? And then I'm going to wrap this up. Invested on this for life. Okay. Experience. Host a webinar. ELT PICS, yes, really. I don't know what I would do with that ELT PICS today. Yeah. And you can just save them in a folder. I make sure that I keep the name of the person because I always acknowledge them. Yeah, they're not taking any new ELT PICS at the moment. Maybe they could use some more people to curate. I think that was the problem. But it's such a great resource. And there are the 26,000 photos. Giving students the opportunity to teach. Yeah, why not? Students. Okay, wonderful. Looks like lots of ideas here. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? I should add, while you're thinking about this, this is part of a research project that I am doing through the University of Graz to find out what people do to get out of their stuck states. So Rob very kindly helped me put this survey together. The questions, I was helped by a colleague who is a researcher. The questionnaire is not long, and we're going to post the link. It's an online survey, and then anyone who wants to actually send me information can do this, and I will be happy to have a look and see what your, if you have any ideas, any notes, any things you've tried out. I would be very interested in just commenting on it, seeing what you've done. This is the survey. And it would be great to know what people are doing. We're very interested in finding out what people, what attitudes are towards continuing professional development. Okay, great. Fabian, maybe you can do this. And I think there is a page with all of the, I like to use these lovely pictures with flowers from Shelley Terrell. And that's my acknowledgements, but there's also a page, yes. Rob, can we make this available to everyone? These are all of the links.
Yeah, what we'll do is afterwards I'm going to put the recording up, and we'll find a place we can put all these up so it'd be easy to access.
Great.
We think about how. Maybe we'll do it with a Google Doc or something.
Okay. Yeah. And the idea here is to make it easy for you to do this. I mean, you said it's lack of time, lack of knowing where to start. Well, choose one and try out one of them. You don't need to do all of them. Sometimes we try to take on too much. Do one, then do two. Go home and make your own timeline. See what you've actually done so far. It'll probably surprise you completely. I was very surprised. Peter, it's so lovely to see you here. Yeah, sometimes less is more. I agree, Isabella. Although I did email you about the idea of something I think we can do together. Yep, we're going out as well. Going out for dinner, something different tonight. Okay, thank you all for taking part in this, and I'd appreciate everyone filling in the survey. If you can, this will be enormously helpful for this project. Thank you, everyone. Have a link to the questionnaire. That's what this is. I think Rob can explain this better than I can. Yes, I'd love to come to ETAS again. Let's get in touch with that for next year. I'd love to come.
If you go, we'll find a place. I'll put the screenshots of everything up, but we'll have the link on the event page, and I'll also make something else on the EFL Talks page.
Okay.
So this Google link, this is a Google survey, and it's an anonymous survey where you fill out 14 questions, which are research that she's doing, and hopefully will help teachers everywhere with what we learn.
Yep, that's the idea. Rob, thank you. You've made this so easy to do.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's great. And glad I had a second machine ready to go.
Yep.
You never know.
We have two.
Yeah, we've got to figure that one out.
Yep.
Okay. Well, have a wonderful evening, and thank you, everyone, for taking part. Yes, I agree. I think everybody loves Rob.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, we'll see some of you in Brighton soon, I think.